Meg, congratulations. So proud of you. This is such, and I'm going to use the word honor for Leslie and me. I'm getting choked up already. To be here because you are that person who champions everyone. And you have been a big support for us for the whole year. And I'm going to let Leslie jump in before I start crying.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Suzanne and I were talking about how scared we were. You were the first podcast we ever did. Her and I were like under the covers freaking out. And you made it so wonderful. And you've been so generous. And we are so honored to be here today to celebrate you, to celebrate this book. And, you know, it's a really important book. And we want everybody to read it, obviously. But I also wanted to ask you, so you brought up our tiaras, which we're all wearing. What is the significance for you?
So many of my beautiful friends and women and men on the screen right now know that in life, I'm a big diva. A diva needs an event to actually show up with a tiara for whatever reason in this wonderful world, just to not look like you're completely insane. You have to have events for permission to show up with tiaras, although I don't need permission. But that being said, I host an event called Shine Networking Inc. And it's Spirit, Hope, Insight, and Networking Inc. And I encouraged from my first event on, when I was on stage with Oprah, I was doing Zumba and I had this insight to wear my tiara there because it was celebrating my 45th birthday. And when I was on stage, I had my tiara on with my yellow jacket on. And basically she said to me, look at you wearing your tiara, come on up here. So I've said to everyone I've ever met at my events, claim your tiara, the full uniqueness that is you. And that is the story behind the tiara and your crown.
I love that. Thank you. We love our tiara.
Great question. And the questions tonight, Leslie and I came up with them together. Meg does not know what they are. We've also pulled some passages from the book we're going to read. She does not know what they are. We're going to ask her to elaborate on those. Start with introductions and then we're going to jump in.
So I am here tonight with two, like I said, award-winning authors. Our first author is Leslie Newson. She's award-winning author of After Happily Ever After. She graduated from UCLA with a bachelor's in communication and then went on to write television comedies for Gerald McRaney, Burt Reynolds, Roseanne Barr, Norm Macdonald, Drew Carey, and Ralph Macchio, as well as The Wild Thornberrys and Sweet Valley High. Most recently, she's written personal essays for online magazines such as HuffPost and Maria Shriver. Like I said, her debut novel is After Happily Ever After, which she earned a first place in the 2021 Next Generation Indie, the Firebird Awards in multiple categories. And she was a finalist for International Book Award for Women Fiction, a Book Excellent Awards for Marriage, Reader's Favorite, and she received an honorable mention in the Hollywood Book Awards. That's Leslie. So we have some powerhouses in the room. She was selected by Pop Sugar's Best Books of 2021. Now we have Suzanne, the other beauty with the tiara on. She is an award-winning author of The Sound of Wings. After earning a bachelor in marketing, she spent several years writing press releases until she left her corporate job to focus on her passion for crafting fiction. She lives in Cape May Harbor. Her debut novel, like I said, is Sound of Wings, which earned her first place in 2021 Next Generation Indie, Silver Ippy for the Mid-Atlantic region, Bronze Award for Reader's Favorite for General Fiction. She was also a finalist in the Next Generation Indie for Inspirational Fiction. And also she's a semifinalist for Publishers Weekly Book Life Contest. So she's also a Wordy Traveler Book Pick of the Month. So we've got some powerhouses in the room. So I'd like to say all the authors here are in fact powerhouses in the room. So we are in very good company. Thank you so much, ladies, for hosting tonight. And once again, thank you to all of you for joining because it means so much to me.
It does.
So-
And I want to
Yeah.
jump in on that and say that I see so many names in the chat of so many She Writes Press authors. And I want to say thank you to them for coming out tonight. It means so much to Meg, but it also means a lot to Leslie and me. So I'm
Yeah.
very happy to see your names and faces.
Yeah, thank you for supporting all of us. We have a great cohort and it's just wonderful to have this community. And now I'm going to read about Meg. So you guys, if you don't know about Meg, she's pretty amazing. So here we go. Meg Nocero, Esquire, is a former federal prosecutor, inspirational speaker, certified empowerment coach, and award-winning author of The Magical Guide to Bliss, Daily Keys to Unlock Your Dreams, Spirit, and Inner Bliss, and a book of affirmations called Sparkle and Shine, 108 mantras to brighten your day and lighten your way. Suzanne is holding up her books. She also holds a bachelor's in Spanish with concentration in Italian from Boston College, a master's in international affairs from the University of Miami, and a JD from St. Thomas University School of Law. She's a member of the Florida Bar and serves on the Wellness Committee of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. And now Suzanne's going to finish it up.
Meg has delivered a TED Talk on how to wake up to your dreams. She was named a finalist in the inspirational nonfiction category for both the 2017 Next Gen Indie Book Awards and the 11th Annual National Indie Excellence Awards. She won the 2019 Indie Press Award for motivational books, and she was named a notable top 100 indie author in Shelf Unbound Best Indie Books. She's a gold level 1 recipient for the Mom's Choice Award in 2020, a 2021 finalist in the Book Excellence Awards, and a quarterfinalist in the 2021 Book Life Nonfiction Contest. Brava, Meg. This is
Yes.
I know.
That is some bio.
It sure is. It sure is.
So we're going to move into the questions part, and we kind of divided this up with your book, with your mom, with your career, and with your spiritual journey. So first I'm going to start out by asking you, Meg, at what point did you know that you had a story to write? Like how long, I mean, how did you realize, okay, now I'm going to sit down and write this?
So this Butterfly Awakens didn't happen right away. When I started writing, it was a long time ago. Even when my mom was in the hospital, when she was dealing with a lot of the complications from the chemotherapy, I remember one evening she looked over to me and said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm writing a book. And she's like, well, it's about time you used all those lessons I taught you when you were a little girl and didn't want anything to do with anything, reading, etc. So, literally, I have always liked to play with words. You guys said it at the outset. I speak 4 languages. I speak Italian, French, Spanish, and English sometimes. And I just find storytelling so fascinating. Even when I was a kid, I wrote books called Hello Fellow. My sisters used to love to play them. And there were all these like lighthearted stories. I just like creating stories. And how Butterfly Awakens came about is when I was going through the grieving process after I'd lost my mom in 2011, I really made a deal with God, so to speak. I said, I get through this, there better be a happy ending. And I promise you I'll share my pain as well as my joy so that other people going through what I went through wouldn't feel like they were alone like I did. So that is really my heart's desire and intention for Butterfly Awakens, so that whoever is feeling hopeless may feel some hope with just a glimpse of some kind of light or spark by jumping into my story.
And Meg, as someone, we have both read the book, as someone who has read the story, I can tell you that you provide just that, a spark of hope and so much more. I want to ask a question that I've actually never asked you before, but I'm curious about. What is your writing process like?
So it's very interesting. I have a stationary bike, okay? And I'm a very active person. I have a very difficult time sitting still. So in order to settle my mind, I have to have my body in motion. So what I would do at the outset is I would for 30 minutes, block off time on my stationary bike and read something inspirational and then just channel whatever came through me. And it was a process of every morning getting up at the crack of dawn, because I used to have to be at work at 7:30 in the morning to go up to court. And I just kept doing that. And it felt like, because for me, it was really cathartic. It was really a healing process. And I see Debbie Portela is on right now. We have a very dear friend, a mutual dear friend, who told me that when you lose somebody, that physical presence is no longer there, but there's ways in which you can in fact connect. And writing was a way that I felt like I could connect. And the story just started to come through me. So it started with my magical guide, and then everything that happened, I just basically told the story.
I love this. I love hearing about this. Leslie has a passage she's going to read, which ties beautifully into what you just said.
And this passage always gives me goosebumps. I have read it more than once just to get ready for this. And every time I just get goosebumps, but I'm going to read this. As I sat in the chair next to her, laying my head over her body, eyes closed, I saw an unusual white lighthouse surrounded by the bluest sky. In a flash, a burst of such blinding white light surrounded the lighthouse that I would have wanted to cover my eyes if they were open. I felt her voice say, "Let me go." I was confused. What was going on? I had never had a vision like that before. That was only for spiritual or holy people, enlightened ones, not me. But I was sure my mom had relayed to me a message the only way she could. She was finished here on earth, and it was time to say goodbye.
That is so powerful, Meg.
Yes.
It really chokes me up. Can you talk a little bit about what the most difficult part in writing your mom's story was?
Well, every time I read that part when I was editing, it killed me. I think I was out for a couple days after I would read it, because it always brought me back there. But my process was really, I really wanted to bring people into the moment. I wanted them to feel what I felt, because I think, you know, I didn't want to sugarcoat it. I didn't want to escape that magnitude of the moment where something like that happens, where I never thought I was going crazy for a bit, because I really truly hoped that she would get better. I really truly believed up until that bitter end that she was going to have a miracle. And, you know, I think that back to that time with the whole bringing you into the story, I like being brought into the story. I like feeling like I'm experiencing the world as the writer is experiencing the world, the characters as they are seeing the world. So for me, it was really important to have everyone there with me in that room. And that is what I did. And, you know, for me, it takes me back there. One of my favorite things about screenwriters is I was told when I took a screenwriting class, you play God. You get to decide what shows up on that screen, but you have to put all the details in there. And, you know, that's really powerful. The screenwriters are the ones who control the setting, the place, and also the experience and the emotions that come from it. And, you know, I don't know if I answered your question. I was just still in that room.
Yeah,
so.
I think you did. I mean, I think that everybody who's read the book, and I'm sure people who will read it will see this, we did take a journey with you. We started at the beginning and we went to the end with you. And I was curious, was it cathartic for you to write all of this about your experience in losing your mom? I mean, can you talk a little bit more about, I mean, it was almost like, was it like therapy in some weird way to get it all out?
I think more than anything, I wanted to convey to the world what kind of person she was. I told myself I wasn't going to cry, but that's impossible. So forget it, guys. You're getting the emotions. The tears are coming. I wanted other people to know the woman who raised me. And why is that? Because as we go through life, people don't believe that they're special. People don't see their own value. And we don't know what kind of impact we have on other people's lives and how they have on ours. And for me, this whole book is about how other people impacted my life, and certainly the cathartic experience with regard to my mother. I feel like I will always have her. I
Yeah.
feel like she's always there. And I just have to, pick up my book, and now all these beautiful faces, they'll know her too. So, and I think one of the things that my family said last night when we was on, when I was on the call with them, is that I needed to have closure too, because suffering is not it. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional, and I don't think she would want me to keep crying because she's not here. I think she wants me to be in joy, that I take all the wisdom that she gave me and share it with whoever wants to hear it. So that is where the cathartic healing.
You immortalized her. You really did.
You sure did. And as Leslie mentioned before, there really are 3 parts to this story. So what we're going to do is we're going to move into the career, Meg, and what that was like for you to make that huge change that you made. And we pulled a passage out of the book.
Dan's gonna read it.
These are your words, and I'm going to ask you to expound on them after I'm finished. When the stormy winds of change came blowing through my life, I had no idea of what lay in store. Feeling increasingly uncomfortable where I stood, I faced 2 choices. I could stay where I was with what I knew and slowly grow numb, or I could let go and move on because the pain of holding on was far too great. When I finally made the difficult decision to move on, I was terrified of what would come next. Dragging my feet in the sand, I was literally pushed out. My professional plan did not include working for almost 20 years, giving it my all, my heart and soul, and in the end, never advancing. And while I decided when to go, I felt rejected, unappreciated, and dismissed in the end. This came hard, especially when at the beginning of that professional chapter many years earlier, I had felt like I had finally arrived.
And we talked about, like a little bit when we talked about your bio. So that's a really big shift from the beginning of your career to where you ended up. And so what were your fears running through your mind during this time? And maybe you could talk a little bit about the fact what you did and how your career, without going into, the whole book, but just like the beginning of what you did.
For me, because my family is so involved in public service, it was as if I was given the opportunity of a lifetime when I was given the opportunity to serve my country. And that's really how I saw it. My grandfather was a congressman in New York in the 60s. We had a rally cry of how are we going to give back for all the blessings that we've been given from this country. So I really believed by serving the federal government, the capacity that I was, that this was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I was able to, hold that notion of, giving back to my country. So the reality is that over so many years, having, and I learned so much there. I was able to, grow in my profession, certainly with my confidence as far as an attorney, but it did become my identity. I really felt like I was something there. It was a part of my identity. And that when doors were clearly closing in my face because I wanted to professionally advance, I wanted to continue to grow. And it was clear that I wasn't in where I was, I couldn't stay there and grow. It's just no more opportunities. Doors were literally closing in my face. I had to really, with my husband, clearly make a decision at that point. What am I going to do? Am I going to stay here? And I've seen it before. I see people lose their, desire or their drive. I see it. And it's a slow dying. And for me, because it's really important to be able to show up and get to go to work and be able to show up there and be contributing to something bigger than myself, that I didn't see it happening. So it really felt like another grieving process when I decided to leave. Certainly, I still miss a lot of the wonderful people who are on this call too. And I'd like to shout out to them because of their examples to me as well. I learned so much, and I feel proud to have worked side by side with them. But I think there comes a time in your life where you're like, I have to make a decision to stay or go. And then, like I said in the passage, staying was giving up a part of my soul. So I had to go.
Meg, and you actually brought up a great point, and it's funny that we didn't plan any of this, because that was going to be my next question. Did it feel as though you were losing part of your identity walking away from the career? And how did you reconcile that?
Oh my God, it was terrible. It was terrible. Like I was like, wow, I ran an intern program there for nearly 17 years. I had hired 300 plus interns. I got to mentor them. That was the greatest part of my job. I got to take these young students and, share with them what I learned professionally and personally. And I know Judy Echavez is on here, and she's one of my stars, certainly. And I felt like I actually was able to be a part of their story too, because I got to take what I learned and share it with another person and help them basically see their career in a different way. So when I left that, I'm like, oh my God, well, where am I going to be able to play with these kind of people still? And how am I going to show up again? And where do I fit in? I didn't have, I'm telling you, this is not right. I should not be crying because this is a long time ago, but it still does bring up the emotions, because when you leave something you cherish and that you're really proud of, and also I have the other side, like Christine Alden's here, and she was someone who would be considered an adversary, but yet I made relationships with these people over the years who were representing the respondents. So it was a family feeling, and I felt like I was being thrown out of the family by my own will. I made the choice to go. So, it was really challenging, really hard. At the end of the day, am I glad I did it? Yes, absolutely. I don't think I would have grown half as much I have in the last 4 years and known different parts of my own personality and come to, to know who I am out there. But was it hard? Yeah, it was hard. I'm grateful that I'm still friends with the people that I hold dear in my life. But, I think there are times that you have to make that decision and be grateful for your family members who stand by you in those decisions.
Yeah, that's
right.
a really tough thing to do, is to leave a job that you absolutely love. And it's scary too. I mean, because, the money goes away, everything, it changes your whole life.
To that point, I will say something. What I loved no longer existed there, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So as people were leaving all around me and it was changing, I knew that what I loved most about where I was going to change more, and I wasn't going to change with it in the way I wanted to.
So you were probably also mourning what wasn't no longer existed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because it's kind of like you're sitting in the middle of a house on fire, and you're looking all around, you're like, a bucket of water is not going to put this out. And it's clearly not that extreme, but the whole bottom line is, yeah, I wasn't going to be able to do anything there any longer. So I had to step out.
I love it. Meg, we're going to turn another corner here and take you to your spiritual pilgrimage at El Camino. And Leslie is going to read a passage from your book by Paulo Coelho. Hope I said his name right. He's the author of The Alchemist, of course.
Yes. So here's the passage. We are travelers on a cosmic journey, stardust swirling and dancing in the eddies and whirlpools of infinity. Life is eternal. We have stopped for a moment to encounter each other, to meet, to love, to share. This is a precious moment. It is a little parenthesis in eternity. So
I love that.
I know, I love that too.
I love that. You can read that so many times.
No. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your discovery of El Camino, like what brought you to the spiritual pilgrimage, and how did you even know about this El Camino?
So a very dear friend of mine, one of my Emmaus sisters, her name is Christine. When my mom died, she was really a wonderful force for me because she kept checking in on me. Anyway, she and I were really kind of these curious, in the inquisitive, mystical nature of life. And if you guys all know Paulo Coelho, he's a very mystical writer. He writes about the world we don't see as much as the world we see. And that just really gets me going. I love that, the whole idea that there's something outside of ourselves, right? So when my mom died, she gave me the book, Down by the River Piedra, I Sat and Wept. And when I read that, it really spoke to me on so many levels that I wanted more. So I just grabbed every book I could find from Paulo Coelho, including The Alchemist. But one of the books that I pulled out was The Pilgrimage. And The Pilgrimage is all about Paulo Coelho's journey on El Camino de Santiago de Compostela. And you know, interestingly enough, I, and Heidi will at least attest to this, I am not your common hiker. Like if you saw me, you would not say, oh, that girl must be hiking mountains every weekend, left and right. That is not ever going to happen for me. However, I have been told that I will do everything one time. If I don't like it, done. I'm like, okay, not good. I'm very stubborn that way. But one of the things that was embedded in my mind after reading Paulo and his books were like, I want a mystical experience like that. And the interesting thing, what Leslie read in the passage where I saw the lighthouse in Finisterre at the end of the Camino. So whether or not you think I'm making this up, I swear to God, I'm not making this up, but literally, if I walked the Camino, I thought I was going to get my message at the lighthouse that she left to me at the side of her bed when she passed away. So, you know, I got to tell you something though, you know, all the authors in the world, all of our wonderful words are based upon inspirations from our life, right? The best authors that we read, the stories come based upon their life, their stories. So I'm thinking, because I've read a lot of crazy books like, you know, Harry Potter's of the world, these people are literally basing it on magic and miracles and things like that. I get to have it too. And I literally went on this Camino to find the message at the lighthouse. And crazy enough, people like Heidi Seifkes actually said yes to me when I asked them to plan the journey. And she is a adventurer and a wonderful person of, you know, saying yes to other people's journeys because she guides people. So that is my thank you for Heidi, for it would not have happened had it not been for Heidi saying yes to me to go on.
I love that. Meg, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but you did bring up the lighthouse. And can you talk to us a little bit about the dream that you had?
So it really wasn't a dream. It was, I was praying at my mother's bedside, insight into me. I do pray a lot. I have a wonderful group of women in my life who are solid prayer warriors, meditators, all of the above. When something goes wrong, I go to my people, put them on the prayer list, we pray together. I do believe there's power in that energy of prayer. That being said, I was sitting by my mother's bedside praying for my miracle because I believed she was not going to die. And when I saw this vision, I still believed she was not going to die. And I even heard the words, let me go. And I'm like, was so confused. I was so confused. I was like, wait a second, this is not the story that I'm writing. And ultimately, after processing, I never lost the vision of the lighthouse. It never left my mind. And I couldn't figure out, I'm looking for symbolism in everything. I do, I really do. I will research the hell out of anything I find anywhat remotely symbolic in my life. Like, what is the meaning? It's a what happened? Why did that person come into my life? Why? I'm very curious that way. And it didn't stop with the lighthouse. I certainly was like, what's the meaning behind the lighthouse? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And then when I saw it at the end of a Camino, I was like, well, I'm gonna go find out. And it nearly killed me 77 miles afterward, but I definitely wanted to find out my message at the lighthouse. So
I love that, Meg.
That's great.
And you know, you speak so emphatically, and you really do have some pretty strong philosophies on life, and you've imparted a lot of that in your writing, in your books. I love Magical Glide to Bliss. I
Yes.
still use this. And I
Yes,
actually want to
yeah.
read something from the back of that book because it talks a little bit about how you feel. So I love this. Bliss is not just an abstract idea. It is an attainable state of being. Whoever you are, wherever you find yourself, you are just steps away from living the life you desire. The world is full of wonder and miracles.
I love that. But you know, what's really interesting is the truth is life cannot always be blissful. So how do you find inspiration and support for yourself when you're feeling down?
Oh, I have my people. I have my people. I'm very lucky to say I have Pat Santangelo is on here and she's one of my people. I have Tanya Michaela, she's one of my circle people. I have my people. Dina Brown, one of my people. When I feel down, Wendy Allen usually pops up around the corner. Definitely Carol, and that beautiful face and that wonderful smile, it changes my day. So I truly know that what the impact of another person's energy has on me. So I keep that in mind when I am feeling good, to turn around and pay it forward that way. You know, it's just say something kind, say something loving, perhaps to someone who may look like they're down as well. But for me, I have to tell you, no, you might not believe this, but I mean, my family does, but you know, when it gets dark for me, it gets dark for me. And it's pretty terrifying sometimes. Like, and I really was in a really dark place. Debbie Portell is on here. One of the moments in my book and in my life, like she was one of the purveyors of, is when I felt this rush of energy when she gave me communion, when I thought that I might have breast cancer myself. So, you know, literally, I go to my people. And I don't really believe that we're supposed to walk this earth alone. So if I find a people I like, I keep my people close, and I will do whatever I can to be that beam of light for them, because for me, their gifts to me have been so much more intense than they'll even know themselves. And I could tell amazing stories about every beautiful face on this screen. So yeah,
you are a beam of light for so many people. And that's why I wondered how, you know, who picks you up. And
That's right.
Obviously it's people, which is great because you pick so many people up. You're such an inspiration to so many of us. And you've helped so many of us, especially Suzanne and I. So we're very thankful and grateful to have you in our life.
Well, it's definitely mutual, clearly. My people.
And Meg, I heard you talk about this before, but I'm going to ask it again anyway. Why the butterfly? How did you come to pick that as your spirit animal?
So when we were little and my grandma Rayo passed away, my mother reminded us to look for the butterfly, because they don't leave. They come back in a symbolism of this creature that is beautiful and has evolved into another rendition of themselves. So we look for the butterflies, and you know, the butterfly, you know, the whole symbolism of the butterfly is quite amazing if you think about it. And I've been asked this over and over again. It's quite interesting. You know, the cocoon, you only can see as far as you can see. You're crawling on the ground, and your life is like that. And you think that that's where it should be. And then all of a sudden, you know, something happens. You know, this cocoon starts, or chrysalis starts to form around you, and it's all messy and crappy and horrible, and you're like, you just melt into this mush of it. And that's those challenging times in your life. But if you keep trusting the process and really not give up on that, you know, like nature does, you know, doesn't give up because you have a negative thought in your mind, you know, you trust the process, then you can transform into something really beautiful. And then what happens is you see things from a different perspective, new heights, higher than you thought you could before. So the butterfly took on many different meanings. We did use it as, you know, when we do see the butterflies, I do believe I see my mother. I was like, butterfly. And I think my daughter and my son are like, oh my God, there she goes again about the butterflies. I go, butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. And the cool thing is my group from my church, Emmaus, the symbolism is of the butterfly too. So when I see my butterflies out in the world, it's kind of like for me, the sign, oh, that might be a good one. There's another good one, you know? So even with little kids, they must think I'm crazy. Got a butterfly. Like, oh my God. Anyway.
Crazy at all.
No, not crazy at all. And, you know, a minute ago, we just talked about, you know, I was saying how you've inspired so many people. And I'm curious to know, how did you find the confidence to know that you would be that person that could inspire so many people? Where did that come from? Were you always like that?
You know, I said this again last night. I said, I'm surrounded by possible people. Right? They do things that other people imagine to be impossible, right? So it's so funny because when things happen to me, I'm like, oh, that happens all the time. That's my family. That's my life. This is what happens to us. Like, and back in the day, it's funny because there's a story one summer. I got on The Price is Right, right? I spun $1 on The Price is Right. Everyone's like, oh my God, Meg, my sister won a Jeep that summer, like a Jeep from a yogurt contest. So it's like, yeah, everyone's like, you guys need to play the lottery because man, you got 1, 2, and 3, right? But for all of us, I don't think anything's really impossible if you just, I don't know, put it out there in the world in such a way and follow those signs, right? Follow your intuition. So as far as I'm concerned, if a dream is planted on your heart, it has some meaning. There's a calling there. It's to follow that. And your dreams might not be my dreams, right? They might be very different. But when I have a dream that comes true, I like to celebrate and share with other people, right? And when you have something good happen for you too, I feel like I win. So the inspiration to inspire something is to breathe life into them, right? Breathe life into their world. And that's how I see it, because people inspire me all the time and I know where to go when I need it. But I'm like, oh, let me do the same for others because it feels really good. And it's coming from a place of, it's integrity and truth. I believe that. I believe that. And
Yeah.
I don't know, confidence. My God, I was not a confident person. I am not a confident person. I have to challenge myself all the time. But confidence at its essence means with the Latin, fidere, faith. So if you have a faith, and I know that Debbie Portela says it all the time, a faith of the unknown, right? Uncertainty. If you have a faith in the uncertainty, they're not walking this by yourself. You're not. You're always with something greater than you.
Wow.
I love this, Meg. I have so much to say. I'm wondering, can you tell us if you are contemplating another memoir? If you are, what that might be about, or are you considering fiction? I remember reading your book and thinking, I'd love to see you write fiction.
I think my husband might churl if I say I'm writing another memoir, right? About marriage, right, honey? Our memoir, no, we're not. I do love him, but yes, that's another story altogether. I will probably go the route of fiction the next time around because they say fiction is basically you get a lot of creative leniency to discover or set out a world of your imagination based upon maybe loosely what you know to be true, right? So I love the fact that I'm an Italian American. As my aunt has raised me and my family has raised, I think it's so amazing. And by the way, I do and love also other cultures as well. I think that everyone's rituals and their family stories and where they came from and their, and obviously I went into immigration, so clearly I have an interest in the stories, but I want to tell one about Italian Americans here in the world, and fiction would be awesome. I would have a really good time with that.
You'd be great at it. I think you'd be great. So before we open it up to questions and answers, can you tell everybody where they can find you if they want to follow you, or your website, or anything that you want people to know about you?
So I have a webpage. It's megnocero.com, megnocero.com. I'm on social media and Facebook, on LinkedIn as well. I'm all over social media, Instagram as well. I love Instagram because I love pictures. I love different wonderful, memes and everything like that. So if they friend me on there, most of these people all know me and they're probably already my friends on there. I do want to shout out to Gretchen, though, my philosopher on the screen, because I see her face or her name right in front of us. One of the things about philosophy and actually the experience is to have the conversation. So I welcome all the different conversations. One of my favorite people to have conversations with is with Gretchen Ariz, because I love the Inquisition. I think it's amazing when you actually, yes, there you go, Gretchen. I love to actually delve into, those things that challenge your brain to expand a little further. So if you guys are interested in that and you want to engage, certainly find me on what I just told you. And I love to have those kind of conversations.
I love this. Meg, you're getting some really amazing comments here, but I'm going to give you your first question. It's coming in from Denise Burt of the Wild Sage Book Blog, who we all love. The question is, what did you learn, or do you believe your mother helped you learn about yourself in the process of writing this memoir?
Oh, this is a great one. That's a great question. I'm stronger than I thought I was.
Oh,
yeah. That is definitely, in fact, when I went to someone who was doing acupuncture on me, she told me that she felt my mother saying, "What's the matter with you? I raised you to be stronger." And beyond the veil, she's screaming at me still. So clearly, you hear what you want to hear from wherever it comes. Yeah, I learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. Yeah, I think
Love that.
yeah, I was going to say after walking 77 miles on a sprained ankle, clearly the pain was not as much as my desire. So I will say that I am definitely stronger than I thought I was, and as are all of us.
I love this. Okay, your next question is coming in from Cindy Rasico, who we also love. The spiritual journey is so powerful. Where is your journey leading you now?
Oh my God. First of all, I love your book, Cindy. It's amazing. Where's my journey? Right now, it's right here in this room with all of you. I'm just taking it all in. I really have to. Someone told me when I got married, stand in the corner and look at all those people who showed up for you and who love you so much that they're supporting you on the beginning of this great journey that you're embarking on. And I feel like all of you are that for me today. So right now, my spiritual journey is in the Zoom room in my studio in Miami. So right now, this is where my mind, my heart, my soul is. And the next step tomorrow, I'm going to have to look to my faith, right, Debbie? I'm going to have to just believe that, there is something stronger than my own journey, my calling, and go with that.
I love that, Meg.
It looks like there's another question from Teresa Pugh. Did you find yourself taking numerous extended breaks while writing such an emotional and personal piece? That's a good question.
Great question. Very good question.
It's interesting when you're putting your emotions out there. Sometimes you're like, wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh my God, give me a piece of paper. I must write somewhere. And I would write on my hand and anything that can, So I was compelled to sit down and do it because, as many of us know, as writing, sometimes you're just like, oh, this sucks so bad. I hate it. Oh my God, really? You're a joke. My God, what are you thinking? And at the end of the day, when it starts flowing through you, you're like, I'm a genius. The words, they just come right out of me. So it's that whole bipolar experience that you have. But I can tell you, when reading the first part of my memoir over and over again, I think my husband even saw it. He's like, you got to step away, because it was very much, I still felt the missing. And, they always say that, that that you're healed when you can read something or experience something and you don't cry anymore. And I challenge that. I say, the reality is when you're healed, that you accept that you will cry because you still miss them.
Ooh, I agree. Amen. I agree with that too. Tanya has something beautiful to say. Congratulations, Meg. Having lived a very similar journey, I applaud you for how soulfully you share your story of deep love and release. Our mother is our first home, and letting that go is a life-changing act of passage. Then we get to make home within ourselves, and you are doing that beautifully. Brava, and thank you for sharing your story. Beautiful words.
Yeah, and Carolyn Lee Arnold wrote, Meg, you are so powerfully articulate about how people grow into their own selves and what they need to thrive. I hope you are always in a forum to talk and write about that. That's great.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Joanna Fitzpatrick has a question for you. When you write your fictional story, will your mother play a major part?
Oh, wow. Interesting. I had this is kind of a fun thing I did on my journey to healing. Brian Weiss is someone who does past life regressions, and I went to a Brian Weiss thing, and they have you hold on to pieces of jewelry of other people or whatever and whatnot. And one of the things that he had to do is like going back in time to think about, whether you believe it or not, that's neither here nor there. But for me, a story was born. And I saw a picture of a little girl in the Isle of Capri in Italy, just dancing around and playing and just being jubilant. And I think that's every one of the women in my family. What we wish, we wish for is just to be that childlike, jubilant nature. So I think any characters that I always will bring into this world will have a piece of the people that have raised me. I don't think that she could never not be part of my life. For sure. People hear me talk sometimes, they're like, oh my God, you sound like Mary Jo. I don't know, is that a good or bad thing? You wonder, like, oh my, because she was tough. She was a tough cookie. She did not want you to show up half-assed in anything you did. If you're going to do something, you do it for sure. So, but that childlike part of ourselves, I think would also embody what I remember my mother to be when she was full of joy and laughter.
There's another question. Les, you want to take it?
Yeah. Okay, let me just get down to it. Okay. Summer Watson
Second to
is
last.
asking, Dr. Kubler-Ross talks about the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. When thinking about your mom, do you find you are in one stage more than the other? That's a good question.
At this point in my life, I'm definitely not in denial until something like this happens and I want to call her to tell her to celebrate, right? When I want to hear her say, I'm so proud of you, because she always did. When like something big happened, oh, Mom, I published a book. And like, I'm like, okay, where's my, yay team? But I get it from so many places. But the reality is, I do miss that. So that denial that she's not here to share this celebration with me is very much a challenge. So I think your point is very well made, Summer. I think that we go throughout all of, we're always constantly diving into all of them. Like, as far as, bargaining, anger, I get angry still sometimes, I don't know why I'm angry. And then it dawns on me that, oh yeah, that's why, that's why. But I'm not entirely into depression anymore. They always say depression is sadness without hope. And I definitely feel hopeful. I do feel hopeful for my life. Sometimes, it might seem like irrational exuberance at times, that why is she feeling hopeful? What is that? The world is falling all around you. And I still will see the silver lining for sure. So yeah, I think that
Wendy,
yeah.
Sorry, honey. Wendy Sanford is asking, could you tell us a bit about your mom, what your mom has let you know now about the book?
What she let me know now? Yesterday, I had a Zoom call with my family, and my mom's sisters, her brother and my father told me pretty much what I would want to hear from my mom, because when you write a story that's so raw, you don't want to hurt your family. And I know that is something memoirists always keep in mind, that the people that we love the most, that our truth will not hurt anyone that we love the most. And I get the biggest gift my mother could give me is to hear the words from my family that they're proud that I told my truth. And that includes my husband and my father and my sisters. So that being said, I think she would be proud of me having the integrity to tell my truth. So, as far as, the grieving process is concerned and what happened to me or for me, happened for me. I like to always believe the Rumi quote, live life as everything is rigged in your favor. We don't necessarily think when we lose someone that's rigged in our favor, but I certainly am trying to use that to help other people who have just gone through a recent loss or in any respect. So I think she would be happy for that I am a person who still wants to be of service to others.
So
Love that.
Evelyn Latore said, was there a reason you decided to publish with She Writes Press?
So this is very interesting. I have a book club called Reading Between the Wines. So literally, I don't know how many times we read most of the books, but we definitely came together and had a lot of camaraderie. Anyway, at one of our meetings, one of the authors who I was lucky enough asked to write one of the back, Wendy Schenker, she told me about She Writes Press, and she said it's a wonderful place for women. She said that, that was one thing that I really feel compelled to do, is help more women use their voices. And I started looking into it, and I just always felt like, okay, I'm going to do my other books my way, but my memoir, because it was a memoir, it was predominantly, when I read about it, it was memoir centric. I wanted to put my memoir, and when I pitched to She Writes Press, they wrote me a response, and I queried a lot of places. I had one other opportunity, but they got my book. They got my book. And she said, it felt like a love letter to your mother. And when I read that, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I don't know why it's put me there, but yeah, they get it. And I don't know who wrote that. I don't know who wrote the approval, because it's not the ones who run the company. But the fact of the matter is, that is the letter I got. It felt like a love letter to her mother.
That is beautiful. Nina Vivienzo said the steps you took on this journey are an honor to your mother. And I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too.
Beautiful.
I love Nina. I
Oh
do.
my
I love
God.
her. She's my sister. She is my Italian sister. I love her. She is one of my former colleagues and always will be a part of my family and my life. I do love her. She's an amazing force, an incredible attorney, and just a wonderful person. So
And
thank you.
Joel Fisher said, has this book helped your sisters with their grief also?
I don't know. I don't know, because I don't think they've read my book yet. I can tell you this. My sisters were very concerned about me. And I think that they realized how close I was to my mother, and they were too. They were very close, but it hit me really hard. And I think that they're supportive of me telling my story how I remember it, because theirs probably is very different, because we are all proud of each other. I mean, I am literally to the heights proud of both my sisters. My one is a doctor. She helps so many people. My other sister's a lawyer. You know, all of the different capacities. I'm very proud of my family. I think in that, I think they're proud of the fact that, you know, I finished what I started and what I wanted to do. So, you know, maybe my healing, they're able to get some, but I can tell you, my sister Mary's patient who just passed away last week, he was one of my beta readers, and he was very involved in this book. So he was very appreciative of my sister, because I helped him go through his own grieving process. So, you know, imagine you help more people than you can ever imagine. I would never have met him without my sister. So, and I love you, Joel. I love you, Joel. He's one of my people from long ago. So I love him.
You have wonderful people around you, Meg.
Yes.
Some of these comments are really wonderful.
Yeah, you'll have
Wow.
to read them all after we're done, because it's just beautiful.
I definitely want to call out Patty Prado. She's on right now. She grew up with me. She was an exchange student with my family from Peru. She was one of the people who, you know, encouraged me to learn Spanish and to go on an exchange myself, which just so she changed my life. And then my life was changed because I decided to go live in another country because of her. So I want to call her out and tell her I love her. Te amo mucho, Patricia. Patti Sue.
Wow, your accent is perfect.
I know. I can't believe you speak 4 languages. It's like, oh my God.
Beautiful.
So
Wow. If anybody has any other questions,
yes. Also, I was going to ask, and otherwise, is there anything else, Meg, you'd like to say before we wrap it up? Because we're kind of hitting that point.
I do believe that in many respects, you know, I said this with my first book, I'll say it with this one. One of the most vulnerable things you can ever do is put your story out in the world. It's your book, baby. It's your baby. And I know with my own son being in Italy right now, I had to put him on a plane for the first time and send him to another country so he could have an experience of his own. So you send them out there and you don't know what the world is going to do to it, but you just pray that you gave him that, you know, all you needed to give it, and that there's an orb of white light around it, right? There's, you know, and the people who you love will also love what you brought to the world too. I'm talking about my children, what I do in this world, everything. So what I would like to say is that I said, if one person reads it and gets something from this, then I'm grateful. I'm grateful to that one person who read it and got something from it, because I think an author to dare to share really what comes from their heart in such a way that, you know, you really put it out there is very, like I said, vulnerable, and to receive just the notion that you helped somebody else, it makes it all worth it. So with that, you know, once again, all these beautiful faces, Sarah, Grace, Pat, Susan, all of you, you know, who I see out here, I'm just honored. I think I'm honored to be a part of this circle, right, Tanya, the circle. And just honored to walk the rest of the journey, because who knows what fun we could have together. And Dina was one of my TEDx, compadres on stage, and that was terrifying, and I did it anyway. But then Sarah did a TEDx, and she, gave me the confidence to jump on stage and say, well, she did it so eloquently. I got to try. You got to take advantage and try, because the opportunities come up. You say yay to them or nay, and then you turn around. You can laugh at yourself if you made a fool or not. But at least you did it, right? At least you did it. And I can say this: I put my memoir out there, and I did it, and I'm finished what I started, which is really something that is very important to me. And I'm grateful that you guys are here to celebrate its birth, because Zoom is with us forever.
We're here to celebrate you. You are just one of the most magical, I'll use that word, magical people I have ever met. And I cherish our friendship very dearly, very dearly.
So do I.
I
Everybody, if you haven't bought this, please go out and buy it. It's wonderful. You will love it.
I want to call out Steve and Debbie Block, who are on there. They're with me on the Love Button Global movement. We met through this incredible organization that is destined to spread the love into the world. And I'm so grateful that I got to know the both of them. They're amazing people. And it's just amazing, when you see the world and you listen to the news cycles and you think that everything's terrible and all these people are horrible. And then I look at all of you, I go, well, I'm glad this is my world. Like, this is the people that I choose to see. So, that gives me great rest at night, that I know people like all of you that are forces of nature doing your thing out there, and I get to celebrate as well when you do amazing things, even when you just show up in the morning and get up and do your life, and I get to say that you're a part of mine. So I'm very grateful.
Well, congratulations, Meg. We're very happy and proud of you.
Congratulations, Meg. You should be really proud of yourself as well.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I love you all, and I really appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you guys so much. I would love
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I love you all. Thank you so much. Renata, thank you for coming. Bye, you guys. Oh.
You're a rock star, sister. You're a rock star.
I love you. Yay.